Right then, fellas, another sponsor for the pod is probably something you're very familiar with if you're in the e-commerce space. It's certainly something I am. It's Waveflyer. Cash flow is the biggest killer of any fast-growing e-com brand, as I, probably more than most, know very fucking well. Go and watch episode 1 if you haven't already. Waveflyer is an e-commerce funding partner. Essentially, they can front you the cash for a month or so worth of sales. You need a minimum of 6 months sales, a minimum of 20 grand a month, I believe, right now. But if you've got a brand that you're super passionate about, you want to scale it quick, but cash is a problem, to invest in inventory, mainly marketing, overheads, team costs, whatever it is, you can get funded in as little as 2 to 3 days. It's literally that quick. No bullshit bank loans, no personal guarantees. I've worked with them personally in the past, took a 6-figure sum off them. Plenty of guys I know in my network and people that have been on the pod and run massively successful brands have also used them as a funding partner, because everyone knows at scale, cash flow is the biggest killer, even if you are profitable. If you think this could be a fit, potentially you could be a fit for them, then go click the link below, speak to the guys at Waveflyer. It's a referral link, so we get a little fee, you save a little bit as well. Support the pod, support your business. Cash is king, especially in this market. Let's fucking go. Right, we're back with episode 72 of the Midnight Pod. It seems to be a rather tiresome episode. We've got notes. I feel like I'm still fucking 7 hours behind and jet lagged. And we have Jordan Platten on the pod, who's just revealed he doesn't live in London because he likes kayaking at 5 a.m. in the river. And I'm keen to hear more, because I tweeted the other day, last night in fact, which seems to have sparked a rather large debate on Twitter about the fact that I suddenly realised I'm not sure I like living in London, having come back from a 3.5 week trip to Dubai and Bali, and maybe I'm just in a flustered state of wanderlust overseas romance, but I've come back and I feel that way. So
it's called holiday blues, mate.
I don't know if it is. I just feel like my entire life's either like a holiday or it's in the fucking trenches in London, and maybe I've just got to the point where I want to be in the trenches somewhere else.
You need some greenery around you.
Where do you live?
I live in a place called Norwich in Norfolk. It's like properly in the sticks. It's like that sticky out bit on the right hand side of the UK, you know, East Anglia. So, and it's like proper rural. Like there's like I live like 20 minutes out of a city, but I like it like that. You know, you don't have a lot of entrepreneurship culture, but it's green, and I always say trees over taxed, which is why I never went to Dubai. So,
fuck. That's quite a good saying.
It's a good saying.
I've had a few mates that moved to Dubai recently, and they're trying to tickle me with its fancy, but I have come back to that point as well. Like, I like greenery, although I do choose to live in a fucking concrete tower in the middle of London for ridiculous rent.
Ollie did sell me a view of the river on the way here, but I was disappointed to see buildings.
Your old flat was river, wasn't it?
It was. I guess we do have a river view from here, slightly.
Partial.
It's not quite the old flat, but it's getting there. Where are you from then originally? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from that area. Yeah, I never ventured away, but apart from I like to travel a lot, but I live in the same area, same friends. It's a creature of comfort somewhat.
I always felt like everyone would eventually ends up in London if they're in the UK, or they fuck off to Dubai, or is that just this bubble that I've led myself to believe is everyone?
It used to be my dream to live in London. I remember I used to do like day trips down to London with my mum, and I used to see the guys walking into the Gherkin and be like, one day that's going to be me. And then I went to uni. No, not even after uni. After uni, I just had like some door-to-door sales job and dotted around different cities. I was like, not all these cities are cut out. Like, it's not what I thought it was going to be, like staying in these places. I was like, no, I'm going to stay in the countryside.
Yeah. And you nearly stayed away from London until...
Yeah, I went Newcastle, Leeds, London, more and more south.
Do you think you'll stay here?
For a bit. I wouldn't stay here for long term. I couldn't live here past a certain age. It does get a bit jarring.
Why do you think that is? So, sorry, we're going off on a weird deep tangent before we even introduce what the fuck I guess does. But I'm actually just quite intrigued. We've gone down this little rabbit hole so soon.
I don't know. It is a bit like, I do like getting out of the city a lot. It's intense, like just a million miles an hour in it. But then, I don't know. I feel like it's good when you're young. I quite enjoy it at this age, but I know past a certain age I won't. Like, there's going to be a point when I'm a bit like this. I do also like greenery, but then there's just way more stuff to do. There's way more people to meet here. Depending on what you wanted to do, I guess.
I think it's so easy to dip into the city if you're from the country, but it's not as easy if you're from the city to dip into. I like little city friends who like come to the countryside and it's like they're in some alien world and just don't know how to act. But I can easily come into the city.
Do you live in like a village or some shit?
I used to live in villages. Like, there's like no shop like anywhere for like you bike like half an hour to go to your nearest shop and shit. But yeah, it's not now. Like now, I obviously drive, so it's like It's a shop in the village, yeah.
I'll take it away from trees for a second. We can come back to that. Affluent.co. Tell me more. How did you get into that? What's the backstory prior to that? Is there agency history before that, I imagine?
Just to jump in before we go into that, this is the course that we bought to start our agency, Affluent.co.
Oh shit! I knew there was some previous connection.
We took a PayPal loan and bought.
Was this the one you spoke about on the pod?
Yeah. And then
could that be the highest ROI student you've ever had? Potentially.
Yeah, I actually, I think Ollie and Joe are number one. Yeah.
It's a pretty good testimonial.
It's a decent claim,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, we took that maybe like end of 2019, I think, sometime around that. PayPal loaned it, bought it, bit of credit there, and then paid it back over time, and the rest is history.
Nice, man.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, you guys are up there for sure. Yeah, that's like we have two businesses. That's the education side, but Affluent.co originally is just a agency. So I started an agency like 5 years ago. I was in corporate sales, telesales, phone sales, and so on. I sold advertising packages to companies in the Middle East, but it was like online magazines. So it was like a completely different industry to selling media
like
buying and
luxury
Facebook.
Sort of.
Yeah, but they were like business mags. It's like called Business Review, and it was like a business mag. But the whole industry was a bit of a farce, to be honest. It was
Really?
it's fabricated viewership numbers and
buy
dog. Yeah,
don't track any of it.
Yeah.
Just tell them it's doing something and just
exactly.
more, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure they photoshopped like Google analytics data and things like that. So it was a pretty boiler room environment. Right. But I then jumped into starting an agency. Like many people, just was like, I'm just tired of this job now. So I had sales, and I thought I'll start an agency. So Affluent.co was the Facebook ad agency. Then started local, then joined kind of e-commerce world. Still run that agency today, but then in the birth of that, ended up teaching and mentoring a bunch of other agency owners and helping them to scale up as well.
Going back before that, did you go to uni? What's the story? Like, how far?
Yeah, so I went to uni. So I'm 28 now. I went to uni at the usual age, and then I was in uni for 2 years. I actually got kicked out of uni because I had like a PR company on the side. So started off by getting people into clubs, and then I ended up getting the contract for 4 venues, and then I stopped attending lectures and then got kicked out of uni, and then jumped into sales from there because I was in debt. I had a bit of an ego problem back then. I was just spending money that I didn't have. Got myself in a bunch of debt and was like, shit, I need to get out of that, and jumped into sales, and that was the most logical step to do that. Yeah.
But you didn't have a degree?
No degree.
I got kicked out of uni as well, technically. It was more because I stopped going.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Where was that?
Norwich University of the Arts.
It's not Russell Group then?
No.
Joking, I went to Northumbria as well. Fuck my levels. Which you did
Cert
as well, that's how we
HE.
met.
I think that's technically a certificate of higher education.
Yeah.
Like, here we go, here's your little batty degree.
Yeah.
So who did you look up to then when starting an agency? Because this is obviously pre-Iman Ghazi and other people.
Yeah.
And starting an agency now, I would say even you were pre that. Starting an agency now is almost like a fucking meme.
I think.
But you were pre him.
I think COVID was. Yeah, you were like really early on to info product agency. I think you and Imam probably started similar.
We started agencies at like the same time, and then it was Ty Lopez.
Yeah, he was the original.
Yeah, but I didn't look up to it. It was just
Sam,
like, who the fuck's this guy?
Sullivan's as well, probably, but a little bit higher level, a bit more generalised. But then obviously, like, it was a service business. That's all it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of, I guess, Facebook as was probably the vehicle rather than the industry.
It was because SMMA as a term like burst out of like the Ty Lopez thing, but I think I just caught Ty Lopez when people have started to like be like. It doesn't seem that legit, but then I kind of looked into kind of a few people. There was a couple people before me, but no one really in the make money online space. And yeah, I just started calling businesses and doing what I was doing in my job. Really, it was basically an extension of what I was doing in my job, but selling a different service. Really.
Did you see Ty Lopez went bust? Just tangent.
I never know how true these things are.
He did go bust. His company, when he bought all of these, like he bought Radio Shack and all these like really traditional American businesses. We've just hired. So I interviewed a girl who used to work for a designer there, and she went 3 months unpaid because he couldn't pay her payroll anymore. But he bought all these like really old school businesses, tried to make them into like a D2C online brand, and just failed. To just basically, it was basically like a massive fabricated.
He's still going to have a lot of capital.
Like he personally won't have gone backrupt.
Yeah,
that
fine.
portfolio of companies will have gone bankrupt, and he'll have sacked it off. but tangent. But yeah, you were like, you made it a little bit less American, I feel. Like, not American, but like in his garage selling knowledge. Like, this is my bookshelf, this is my Lambo.
Yeah.
A bit more like.
Yeah, it was
real.
super cheesy. It was a very cheesy landscape. Yeah, my style has always been a lot more to the point, direct and actionable.
Yeah.
Just kind of translating the hype and putting it into something you can actually
So
apply.
how long did you spend from the idea to launch an agency to an agency becoming a real business? Like, where did that inspiration even come from? Because like you said, there wasn't that many people doing it. There was Ty Lopez. Was it literally watching a video?
I watched a YouTube video, how to start a social media marketing agency, and I just got the gist of. I didn't even know how to run Facebook ads when I signed up my first client. I wouldn't recommend other people doing that, obviously. But 2 weeks from deciding I was going to start an agency, I signed 2 clients, replaced my outgoings, and quit my job. And then 3 months after that, I had my first 10k month. So it was pretty quick, but I had an unfair advantage being in sales.
Was that just cold calling local businesses?
Cold calling local businesses.
That
was I used to cold call 100 companies a day. When I started my agency, I just started cold calling like 25 companies a day, so it was a lot easier. And back then, you're selling new opportunity. Like now, you approach a local business and they've had 1,000 agencies talk about Facebook ads, so that it's more sophisticated. But then it was brand new opportunity. No one knew what Facebook ads was. You could literally show, I think you probably saw the old meeting strategy I used to teach, literally showing people the back end of the Facebook business manager and the estimated results that it says that you're going to get from a £5 spend. And that was enough to blow a local restaurant's mind. And they're like, yeah, take my money. So
it's like back in the day, it wasn't far after we did the first couple of drop shippings, and like then Facebook ads were pretty ridiculous compared to now. It's like actually mad. Like you didn't appreciate.
You never appreciate anything till it's
ridiculously
gone.
Powerful, like and targeted.
We'll probably think
like,
the same in 5 years' time about
it's
now.
Like a sniper versus a shotgun. Like you could be so precise, and like we ran that strategy a few times on early clients, just show them like estimated reach, how we're going to run the targeting, what the estimated returns were, and then just like they were like, "Well, take my money, let's do it."
Back then, you used to be able to do the giveaway strategy where you'd do a like this post and share it, and then run engagement ads to it, and it would just blow up. And then you chat everybody that comments underneath it.
I used to do that with dropshipping stores.
It was great.
PPE campaign.
It was great.
Absolutely
clean it up.
With your ice cube genie.
Yeah, Christ. Going back to the original scale days. So funny thinking about that. I did the podcast with Jordan Smythe the other week, and we were just laughing about all the fucking general store drop shipping days. It's like, I'm so amazed there's not been a Vice documentary yet on like early drop shipping or even just like early SMMA stuff, because it's such a weird entrepreneurial subculture. I think particularly like general store drop shipping. Even now it's like this weird underground world of people that think they're the next Elon Musk, but actually they live in their mum's basement and don't pay tax.
Vice have just gone bust as well.
Yeah, fuck.
Just get them all.
The whole world's getting swooped up.
But yeah, that you were early, definitely, and then it was pretty. We found you like about a year before COVID, I think, maybe dead on a year before COVID. How did that? Was that a big?
COVID was actually positive for all the business, really. It was incredibly positive for the education business because everyone's stuck at home and they're like, shit, I want new opportunity. I saw an insane statistic like that I'll butcher this, and first of all, 99% of the statistics are made up on the spot, but there was like 75% more people were quitting their jobs after COVID in the US than pre-COVID, which is wild. So all those people were like, shit, I'm not going back to work. And so we had so much extra opportunity coming to us.
I feel like even when I look at people I know personally, like there was a lot of people who literally did nothing for that whole period, but there's also a lot of people who did a lot of productive stuff over COVID, like quit jobs, learn.
I scaled too hard.
Yeah,
I'm always jealous of the people that actually profited from COVID, because I did and then fucked it all up.
Yeah, I saw that. Like the labour market was mad. Like there was so many job vacancies out for the next 6 months coming out. But yeah, you were definitely early in the market.
How soon after getting into the agency space did you think we'll move into the education space? Alongside that,
it was not that long. It was not far. I would say probably 3 months in when we had that first like 10k month, because I documented everything on YouTube very early. So like it was only pretty much when I quit my job, I decided I was going to make my first YouTube video, and it started off as like accountability. So I was like, if I make these videos, if my friends see this, my family see this, I'm going to look like an idiot if I fail. So I started documenting that, and then I was like, what am I going to make videos about? And it only really made logical sense to make videos about the agency, but then they ended up being info-based videos. And I was like, oh, well, now loads of people messaged me asking me for coaching calls, and so I was charging like 25 quid an hour until I didn't have enough time. It was like 100 quid, and it was like 300 quid or whatever. And then I was like, okay, and now I could create like a course. So it was a very natural progression, but I would say it was probably like 3 months when I actually then decided, okay, I'm going to create some kind of a product out of this. But it was like a necessity because I just didn't have the time to handle all like that. Because there weren't many people. It was like myself and Iman and Ty Lopez stopped making content.
Yeah, we found you off an organic video.
Yeah.
Your organic SEO strategy on YouTube is still really good.
Yeah, we get a lot of traffic from. I think we still rank #1 for Facebook ads.
Yeah, like that's just gonna that must pay a fair whack.
Yeah, yeah.
Per year just to have that spot.
Yeah, we for a long time for the agency we got a lot of leads. Now obviously as we're going for larger brands, the lead quality isn't obviously anywhere near as good, and we don't really have anything that we downsell them on. But with having we were #1 for Facebook ads, #1 for Google ads, #1 for TikTok ads. I think we still rank pretty high for TikTok ads, #1 for YouTube ads as well, which was great for lead flow.
And how are you splitting your time between the agency and teaching how to start an agency? Was it both called Affluent under the same brand?
So this is where it gets a bit confusing. It was the Affluent agency and then the Affluent Academy.
Yeah. And
so the idea was the academy is obviously the teaching element of the agency, but I think we'll probably move that away because we get confusion. I would say 2 years into the agency, I bought out one of my successful students, his name's Joe, who now is a partner in the agency. So
I met him.
Yeah, you probably did.
Joe Hides.
That's it.
Yeah. I didn't know there was any association when I first met him. Yeah. When did I meet him? You were there.
We met him in Barcelona at Geek Out.
Oh, originally then, and then it was...
You met him at the dinner.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So Joe did really well through the program, and then I was like, well, my time was being split, and I still enjoyed the agency, but I also recognised there was a lot more cash flow coming through the education business, and a lot quicker scale and more kind of short-term gain. So I brought Joe into the agency, and then he managed the operations and the team, and I kind of still to this day have more of a kind of I oversee strategy and direction and vision.
Why have you never gone into education?
It's not for me. Just don't want I'm just deep into the D2C e-com stuff. I enjoy it. I think that's a question.
Got a face for radio, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to ask you about fulfillment as a question next, to be fair. I was thinking about that.
Geez, we're 17 minutes in, we're going there.
Well, like, just two businesses. It's interesting to dig into, isn't it? I just never got... We just never really... We've done a bit of, like, ad hoc coaching.
It's heavy, this, isn't it? After a while.
Yeah, He's just leaning on me now.
We've got heavy mics for context, for those not watching.
One big clip and lapelled it, like you said. Like, just whack.
It's like lean forward. Quick one, fellas. You probably heard a few months ago I dropped an ecom course, a very fucking guru of me, but it's not that, I promise you. 0 to 1, how to start a brand from scratch with no budget, some budget, a bit of budget. Take your idea from a bedroom to reality to potentially 7-8 figures in sales like I've done a few times based on my 7 years of experience in the trenches and my current experience building my current brand, Space Goods. It's no bullshit, no frills. We've had like 75 people go through so far. Not a single person has asked for a refund. Plenty of people have actually built some seriously impressive shit. Covers every aspect of the business. Not just the front end stuff like most gurus on YouTube and Twitter are talking about, not just product, market and all that shit, but the real shit, the logistics, the back end, the supply chain, the customer service, the finances as well. This covers the whole spectrum, every part, 12 hours of video. If you're interested in scaling a brand 0 to 1, actually turning your idea finally into a reality, then click the link below, go check out Learn Real Commerce course and let me know what you think. I'll be glad to have you in there. Let's fucking go.
I think I don't know. I do a bit of ad hoc consultancy for agency owners now, but like more at like probably like most of them do 50k a month plus in revenue pounds, because that's the point at which I can add the most value to them based on like where I am in our business. Like I don't really know much about taking an agency from 0 to 20k a month now compared like I did when we did it, but we're so far from that. It's like the landscape, we were talking about this on the way here, the landscape is fundamentally so different. I enjoy coaching, but I enjoy it more on a one-to-one basis. I just don't know. Our agency's grown like fairly consistently throughout the process, and it's just been like focusing on that. But there's loads of competitors in the market. It's not as easy just to start a business and go into it. Like, you got into a really good time. I think if you try and enter that market now, you need a new angle. I think one new angle that some people have leveraged is like, AI, coaching agency owners on how to use AI. That's probably an easy way to enter a market now and educate. But like, it's not as easy to make an educational product and just scale it. It's the same as like, why didn't you make a dropshipping course when you were printing money through dropshipping?
Because I was stupid. I should have done. Because all the people that made most money in the D2C space are gurus that never made any money from a brand. Newsflash.
Yeah, true.
I.e. all the YouTubers.
But Gabriel St. Germain, he was the peak of dropshipping.
One of the OGs.
Yeah.
Do you think running education is easy? Because I think a lot of people, probably myself included, look at certain guru types, whatever, and I have a few examples in my head, and think they're doing it because they can't make money from the real thing. I don't think that's the case in agency. Certainly with D2C and e-commerce a bit more, probably. I don't know the agency side as well.
Well, I genuinely believe that I am the only person in the agency education space that actually has a successful agency and still runs one. Everyone else conveniently folded it, but then would have sold it if it was any kind of value. Then everybody said that same story. Oh, I sold a couple of clients off. We don't just sell a couple of clients off to another agency. Your agency was never successful in the first place. You would have sold the business and got an exit. So, like, yeah, I think, I don't even know what your question was.
No, do I?
Is
the education part easy?
No, the education part is actually really hard. Because it's constantly moving, and people are always putting their issues onto you and offloading and holding you accountable for the reason why they're not actually fucking doing the work. It's incredibly hard just to get people to do the first step. I think it's a lot easier in the B2B space. The B2C space is incredibly difficult, because you have to spend so much time helping people go through these mental barriers and these like they're finding their own fucking motivation that gets them past like 1 or 2 weeks. You know, because like it's so hard to do that, and so you're constantly going through that cycle with people. So B2B space, the B2C space is pretty difficult. B2B is a little bit easier, but you're still constantly adapting and then being held accountable for if something doesn't work because maybe someone didn't do something exactly the way it was meant to be done. You know, there's so many moving parts.
That's what I think. Yeah, you're in the 0 to 1 space for education, which is a really fucking hard place to be, because you're training people how to think, not just what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Like, that's like effectively what you're doing. You can give people all of this information, but you can't make them do what you need them to do.
How many products do you have, and how high ticket?
Well, our lowest, we have technically two products soon to be free. We have high ticket and we have low ticket. So we have high ticket at around 20k, and then we have low ticket at around 4k now. Is that
considered low ticket these days?
It is in.
Anything over 2k was like high
payment
ticket.
Plan, isn't it?
High ticket.
Yeah, we do payment plans. Actually, 75% of people
just
pay
straight
up
on.
front. Yeah,
nice.
We used to be at a grand, but then the quality of customer is so low, and the barrier to entry is so low at 1,000. People are expecting life-changing results, but they don't have any commitment to that financial amount. There's not no life-changing amount of money to be spending. A 21-year-old guy spending $4,000 is a lot of money to them, and they think it's shit, I need to make this work. But a grand's throwaway money for some people, for a lot of people actually. So it's a lot harder to get them the result.
Yeah,
it's interesting that.
I think, it's just a really no business. I really don't like when people say any business is easy, because it's just not easy. Surface level it looks easy, and then when you start peeling past, even like any degree of like sophistication in an industry is hard. Is that
like a sales call funnel then? As in, like, the reason I'm asking, so I've got my fucking ecom course, which I never promote, by the way. But I started working with someone recently because they were like, "You're a retard. You have a great personal brand. This should be printing." And I was like, "All right." And they're basically building a funnel and changing the entire structure for me, and they want to make it higher ticket and do sales calls. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure."
Yeah, it is a sales call funnel. It never used to be sales. And I would say to people that anything above 1,500 needs to be a sales call funnel. If it's above that, then sure. If not, then no. I'd sold millions of pounds in like under about $1,000 with no call. We only introduced the call when we increased the price up to that. 4K.
So do you think it's better to sell less with the sales call at 4K than 4 times as much, say, at 1K without a sales call? Because you think there's less headaches?
There's better quality customer, and you got more buy-in, and you're vetting people. Like, we actually turn people away. Like, if we don't think someone's going to be successful, we genuinely won't accept them. Like, for example, if I get somebody who's from a developing country, certain developing countries, who's got the money, who wants to invest, I still will think very hard as to whether or not we'll actually accept that person, because they're going to want to reach out to the UK and US and try and get those clients. Got absolutely no chance of getting those clients initially. They also then don't want to start local because the currency is not worth much. So we turn people away as well, which I think is quite unique about what we do.
I would always push for like higher ticket, lower volume.
Definitely.
I think. In any education business, it's surely just like, even in a client facing business, like, I'd rather have 10 clients paying you 10k a month than 50 paying you 2k. Just when you think, because you've still got there's an element of like, if someone's paying money for an educational product, they're passing, like, obviously some onus is on you, but they're still going to hold you accountable for their success to a degree, and like, I feel like your name, when your name's over everything, so it's like there's an element of like,
you have to be so brand protective.
Yeah, an element of needing a high success rate, or at least as high a success rate as you possibly can get.
How about the 20k product then? What does that entail?
That's a mastermind. So
was that the one you went to?
We went to
we went to Mexico. It was pretty lit.
We hired like a villa that was like a 65k villa pounds for a week all in.
It was
plus expenses, like an 80k trip. It was amazing.
It was absolutely mad.
Incredible trip.
Did you pay 20k?
No,
were you a case study?
You got grandfathered. You did pay.
We did pay.
Grandfathered.
We shared a lot. We paid. We're going to go. We go to the next one. There's one in August in London.
I want to do a dirty mastermind. Just get a bunch of fucking girls and a big billion. Just call it a mastermind.
This one's agency specific, but like mostly again for like people doing like more of like a B2B offer, like you said, like higher revenue where they can add and take. I think that's the key for a mastermind, is like you need a good mix of like, if someone's coming, they need to be an expert in at least something that they can share, I guess.
You sneezed and he started barking at the same time. There's something going on. Something in the air.
Yeah, what's the vision for the mastermind? Go on, you might as well.
I think like for the mastermind, for me, initially it was a bit of a selfish move. Excuse me, I'm dying on here. I wanted to have somewhere, number one, to start offloading, and then we have a drink.
Got a dog stuck in his throat. After that cunt started barking.
Yeah, it's ruining the pod. I wanted to have a place to offload the information from like a higher level, because being so in, as you say, that 0 to 1 and helping beginners so much, there's an element, we have a team of coaches now to keep my mentality in that space, but we are so, from an operational standpoint in our agency, we're so far away from that. We're operating at such a different level from the people that we're actually teaching in our program. So the mastermind was a great opportunity to re-surround myself with all the people that are doing really well in our ecosystem, but then also have a place to offload that information as well, and just create a culture. And there's just a really good community culture behind that. And I want to keep it very intimate, 30 people maximum, all high quality agencies, raise the standard of the room every single year, do very big lifestyle based events once a year. I would like to do a big villa event in Q1 every year. I think that's something quite unique that not many masterminds do. Most masterminds are so, I was part of Sam Oven's mastermind, and it was all just info. You kind of just go to the office and there's not really everything's skimped out, and you get some sandwiches maybe at lunch.
Because they're all fucking incel virgins. Welcome to the world of info. They all need some sunlight.
He's the most optimised man ever.
Yeah, so optimised his rig's like a white bag of sand.
But yeah, we want to introduce that lifestyle element as well, and just have a great time doing it too. So yeah, it's a very cool business model. It's a really exciting business model, the event space.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, my mate Tyler did one in Dubai recently. Looks fucking
that
filth.
looks great. There's not much of a culture. There's quite a lot in America, to be fair. There's quite a few I don't know like what the setup is, but there's agency masterminds.
Definitely more in America, yeah.
But there's no culture like that in England or UK. And it was quite an overwhelming. It was quite a UK heavy audience, wasn't it?
We're banning Americans from the mastermind. We just won't accept any. There's just a different. And this doesn't speak for everyone, but it's just a different culture when it comes to sharing information. I always find, and it's ironic me being in the info industry, but I do believe that the majority of info should be free unless it's like something which is like a very strict USP that if you gave it to the world, it just would lose its meaning anyway. But when to US masterminds I've been to, you speak to someone and it could be you and I, and because they're in the info industry, there's like this barrier of, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit, but then if you want the good shit, you have to pay me for it, which I don't understand. If I'm sat in front of you right now, then we should be having that open, transparent conversation. So one thing that we really encourage with the UK culture, and I think you get out of UK and European culture, and Australia, New Zealand, and so on, really Commonwealth in general, there's so much more of an oversharing. Like you guys shared an obscene amount.
I always sometimes I think I overshare.
Yeah,
I've been doing that on this pod for the past 18 months.
It's a limit. I think you get to a point of confidence within a business eventually, in a service-based business where you don't mind sharing because you're confident in your own service and your own business, and it's about the application of like how you use this thing you share.
I think you're not intimidated by sharing to another 20 or 30 people. It's if you're sharing on this like kind of mass scale on YouTube, then it's completely different.
Especially if everyone else is sharing something.
Exactly.
It's very rare that like most people in that room were better than the way they did it, where everyone shared something specific that they thought they were an expert in was really good, because no one's an expert in everything.
No, and the people that are really just like, because with people and they're just kind of stuck in their one thing for months on end, and like a guy called Nicholas who owns an agency called Larson Digital, and he's so stuck on kind of automations and so on. He came out of that, and I think you guys had a massive impact on him, and also sales, and he doubled his revenue in the first 2 months after that event.
Yeah.
And so that one different kind of mindset shift from spending time with a group of people, but not just in one day in a seminar setting, but over the course of 7 days, and getting drunk with these guys and hanging out at 2 a.m. and having those chats that just like that actually at the time mean the world, but people have gone home. Like we had a guy in New Zealand, and there was a 4 a.m. chat about a personal branding launch video, and with Lucas actually, and Lucas now being flown to New Zealand on this 10-day trip. With that 4 a.m. chat actually materialised into this huge promotional video and contract, which is great, and you don't get that at other businesses.
When the drugs wore off, he finally realised he'd been scammed.
He was like, for once, let me just stick to what I said.
Yeah, it was good. I think everyone, like, regardless of like revenue level, everyone's deep, can go deep on one topic, and it was good. And then, like you say, even not in the actual sharing sessions, you only need 1 or 2 big nuggets of info from stuff like that can completely, there's like 5% improvements in certain areas, little mindset shifts, like operation changes, stuff like that. I'm surprised it's not like, I guess you're kind of, we're trying to do this with this for like a dinner's perspective. I'm surprised there's not more for D2C. Like there's not even a D2C.
Which is why I'm going to do one.
I've been to a few breakfasts in London with like 4 or 5 D2C owners.
Yeah, they're still all a bit,
but they're not like the
shit. Not the people, just like the fucking
one I went to was good because it was like quite like everyone was there to like share, learn, but like D2C e-com at a certain scale, not like drop shipping because you've got no moat in a business, you just got a product and a fucking channel. But when you've actually got a brand, there's very little net negative to sharing with other people who also have a brand. Like what's someone going to take from Space Goods that's going to impact your market?
Well, other than the whole 5 of my fucking subscribers have just ripped the entire product and everything else.
Yeah, but like,
if you're watching, I know you are. Lock your doors.
I got retargeted with one of your copycat brands actually on the way here.
Was it Get Neutral?
No, it was.
Which everyone
I
fucking
tagged you in
me.
one yesterday.
No, it was like an infinite. Is it like an infinite?
Was it Limitless Blend?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
looks like a GCSE project, bro. I'm not too worried.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like
all these autistic founders trying to copy me.
At
least make it look nice.
You're gonna get copycats, but like the people who you want to be in a room with at one of those events want to be doing similar.
I guess the one pro of documenting stuff online is I've got evidence of me doing it first.
Yeah.
Look at the timestamp of that video.
I think like
You'll
it's
always
quite
be a
important
copycat.
to have to have a very clear threshold. Like we set a very clear revenue threshold. If you're not over this amount, you're not getting accepted, and we're increasing that with every cohort, and that's going to continue to get increased. So if you did like a D2C mastermind, if you're vetting the quality of people, so you're not just getting someone who just had a fluke, month.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a drop shipper and you're doing this.
Yeah,
Because
there's
then that
one-
filters out 99%.
Have you seen that Hampstead? I really want to join it. It's run by the guy who
Yeah,
hosts.
I've seen
It's
that.
like a private community group run by the guy who hosts My First Million.
I don't think
Sam
you'd
Park.
get in, I wouldn't.
I got rejected straight away. It's for like people doing numbers. Like,
Although,
then
there's something about that. It
I know
has
a few
that
people-
Americanness
Yeah,
to
it does, that's the
which just
thing.
makes me
Like,
think, oh, it's like
But-
so cringe.
but like it sounds.
Unless I just don't like Americans.
It sounds good, and I know a few people who are in it, and they say it's valuable. I've never
Is
seen.
Conor Martin in it?
No, he's not.
Did he get rejected?
Zach from Triple Whale, who came on the pod, he's in it. He said it was really good. Again, like a lot of their events are in person in America, so like the leverage that you're going to get from it here is minimal. But yeah, setting a threshold for D2C, like you just like go in there, finding someone.
I'll set thresholds that I'm not even close to. I wouldn't get into my own event. I'm only there because I'm organising it.
Just finding someone who's like ripping organic at scale and like, all right, this is how I'm doing that. This is how I'm doing an affiliate marketing ploy that's driving like 40% of my revenue.
Yeah.
Like that sort of shit that you can just like, how are you doing that?
Because when you give people, and that's one thing that we found that was amazing, is when you actually give people and you say, okay, you have to share something. If you give someone one thing that they can share, it's going to be their best because they want to impress the group. So if every single person in that room shares one thing, then you're going to have an extremely valuable room. So
I'm definitely going to do some sort of filthy mastermind. Just bring in all the big hitters.
Edge. Yeah.
Do it in a massive Marbella 20,000 square foot mansion with 15 girls per person.
It's a good idea though. I do think that, again, UK specific, it's just there's not that culture here yet, but like getting ahead of it in terms of bringing people together in an industry that's relatively
I mean, I was
small.
amazed just even at the dinner on Friday. There was like 10 people that flew in. I was like almost embarrassed. I was like, you do realise it's just a dinner? We haven't even got like talks.
That was really good, to be fair. I really enjoyed that.
But someone who messaged me being like, oh, it's the first time I've ever met anyone. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I've
that's
got
what
a
I mean,
fucking
like-
duty to do another one.
They are good. Like,
Yeah.
there's just not that culture in Europe, I don't think. Even
but
in-
I think people are hungry for it. I think people
They
are.
are.
I think they're very hungry for it. I think the market is there for it. But by people, yeah, they've got the authority to actually know what they're
That's what I was
talking
gonna
about.
say. You have to have the authority to bring people together. Like, it's hard for someone to get that, and also hard for someone to get that and be willing to put the time in to do that.
Yeah, that
next step.
doesn't happen.
It's very rare. Like even I can't be fucked.
In the event planning, there's so many logistics that go into that. Like
Oh, it's
event planning,
fucking doing a dinner was a nightmare.
yeah.
And
I didn't even organise it and it was
Yeah.
fucked.
More so for
And it's
you.
gotta
You
work.
spend a lot of money, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
400 dinner is like a bit of a off the cuff dinner, but like 20 grand, it's like, whoa, this is a bit of pressure.
Yeah, it's gonna be alright. Yeah.
It was good.
Do you... I was thinking about the logistics of a mastermind. Do you like pre-book the venue then sell tickets, or would you pre-sell tickets months ahead to
our
assess
masterminds,
demand?
it's like a yearly subscription anyway. So like people, it's not just the one event they get access to. It's like multiple events. So they were pre-sold anyway. It was pre-sold with the promise of we're doing this event in Q1. It's going to be in Mexico to them, but we hadn't booked the venue then. So yeah, but you could do it that way. You could sell, but like, yeah, we're doing an event in August, but we're obviously fronting all of the costs on the basis of bringing some new people in and getting. Yeah.
Is that the only one you've been to? Like mastermind in general? Have you been to other ones? Like how much resources have you paid for after the course which changed your fucking life?
Oh, we've invested a lot in educational courses, but different courses at different points.
Such as
I'm a
what?
massive advocate of that. Like, it's just like, why wouldn't you constantly do that? So now what we do alongside this, and this is a really good idea, people can steal this, right? So even in like internally in the business, like for the people who are at the top of our company, like Matt, our COO, Jamie, our head of performance, Sam, head of ops, it's like, I can't teach them anything else about their job. They are fundamentally better at what they do than I am. So now we give them a subscription to Mentor Pass where you can go on and just book calls with like the COO of fucking athletic screens, and Matt will have a call with him instead. It's like that stuff like that platform's nuts. That's a great platform, and that's like a really effective way that we train team. But like we invest in like multiple courses every year, whether it's personally. I'm actually personally bought a course for a while, because I feel like I learn a bit by like osmosis of just being like in this business with all these people who are doing stuff and talking to them, and having like cross section and being able to share it with like clients, then our own brands. But like we buy courses for like every different person, and then get one-to-one mentorship as well for the right I like Venture Pass because it's an hour and you can have like, all right, I want to get this from this person. And you come back with it. But we did your course and we've done a few.
Yeah, I should probably do that more, to be fair.
It's great for training team. It's great because it's just
myself
like,
as well.
It's really hard to I can't part any more knowledge on them about what they're specialised in. But we've done a few courses between yours and where we got to. Nothing like, I'd say that was really transformational in terms of like how much it impacted growth of our business. We've got a consultant that we work with like on an ongoing basis who sold an agency. We've worked with him for quite a while, and then we've done a mastermind, but other than that we've not really done anything within that.
I think it's like I would actually say it's one of the more idiotic things I've ever done in my business career is not investing in my own education a lot sooner. I don't know whether it was because I was involved on the other side of it in actually educating other people, but I neglected seeking education myself. So when I built my education business, I did it based on like gut feel. I was like, okay, let me do this funnel. I saw this guy do that. Let me try this and so on. And then I started like investing in mastermind products myself, and the upturn was just insane. And then I was like, why the fuck haven't I been? And I only started doing that like a year and a half ago, and I was like, why the hell didn't I do this sooner?
What's the best one you've done? It would have been
Sam Ovens Mastermind. It was an exceptional event.
It's like called like Quantum or some shit.
Quantum. And he did the last
down now.
I was in there.
He's gone like full rogue on school now, hasn't
he? Yeah.
Mate, he had the best YouTube video ever made. That he pulled it.
Which one was it?
Fuming.
What was it?
It was called How to Grow Your Business brackets by Doing Less. And it was just like.
I think I've seen that.
It was unbelievable.
Was that back in his like long hair?
Yeah. In front of a whiteboard, sipping his LaCroix.
It's LaCroix. Yeah.
It's like
his office was full of LaCroix. The whole thing.
It was fucking must be sponsored.
Yeah, it was like a foundation of the brand.
He's just like him and Alex Becker. Like Alex Becker is actually the only other course we bought that was high ticket and is fucking sick.
Which one? He had loads of courses.
He had like a really high ticket. I can't remember the Iron Blueprint.
Oh yeah, you sent me that. I remember.
Sick course. He's him, Hermosi and some others. If you go on the YouTube channel and sort by oldest, and start there instead of the new shit, and watch it, it's so high level and so good. But yeah, the masterminds are good. I think masterminds are better. It's more like here and now, whereas a course has that dated element to it. I feel, and the industry that we're in moves so fast.
The only course I've ever done was Ben Malloy's Facebook ads course.
That was a great course.
2016.
Well. He's disappeared.
Probably did a rogue with the course and fucking bounced.
That was a great course as well. I forgot about
that. That definitely did help me at the time.
Yeah, investing in education I think is key at all levels.
Yeah. It's just like having that hindsight, and sometimes even just validation on the ideas that you've already got, but through the perspective of someone else and say, oh, well, have you thought about doing it like this? It's perfect.
So I saw a funny tweet the other day that was like, it was by some investor. He was like, if I could, one stock I wish I could short.
Are you messing that mic?
Huh? Just there's a little like knob.
So this is the most niche mic setup in the history of podcasting.
I can't remember what it was. Some investor, and he was like, one stock I wish I could short is any business owners that don't read. Like I wish you could short a group of that.
Fuck.
Which I think is a bit niche. I think it should be like any business owner that doesn't like educate themselves consistently.
I think this is going to sound good. I read now and then, but
I can't get into it.
I went through like monk mode phase for like 3 months last year, and I was reading every night, not going on my phone.
I
found myself scrolling fucking fit birds on Instagram.
I struggle with
getting
into a flow. Yeah. But I'd tell you what, I read a really good book recently. Have you read The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes?
No. I've heard of it, but
it's a really good book. It's one of those books, it's like even though like reading is a bit monotonous, you read it and you're like, fuck, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Like it's the hiring process and so on. It's very good.
Yeah. I just can't get into flow reading. I'm a podcast and YouTube video person, but I think that's the key to that is like don't do a podcast, don't listen to a podcast and then do work at the same time, because you might as well not be doing it. So you have to listen to actually take it in. But yeah, I think you just got to educate, So come join his mastermind if anyone's watching.
Affiliate link. I've got something I was going to say, but if you got a list of notes.
You go first.
I was going to say, if you had to pick one of the businesses in the past and then now, i.e. agency or education, which would you pick and why? And has that changed as both of them have developed and the market's developed?
Well, if I had to pick one or the other, and obviously we're running both anyway, but if I had to pick one or the other, it would depend on what the goals were, because an agency is I see an agency as a very good gateway business. I think an agency is a really good foundational business that kind of gets you into kind of making some cash to then invest into something else, or maybe do software or start brands and so on. So it wouldn't be the agency. If I had absolutely no resources whatsoever, then sure, it'd be an agency because it's low barrier to entry and I can do that. But if I had to pick an agency business just to be running, it would be the education company. Number one, because I get more satisfaction out of it and genuinely like getting to work with a variety of people, helping them be successful is very satisfying. And two, there's just an awful lot more upside. There's just so much more upside in that business model than there is in the agency. The profit margins are so much stronger. It's productized.
How does it sell? You're not going to sell it though. Or can you sell it? How do you sell that?
No, but this is something we're working on. So
but you can't sell an education business.
It's so attached to your personal brand.
Yeah, like you can't sell.
I would say from an outside perspective, it's more sellable than an agency, no?
No.
Because you built a product.
Yeah, but even
you can fuck off. It still exists.
Like agencies find it hard to drive high multiple if they're too tied to the founder. Think about a personal brand that's got the whole info product is one person. You can't, if you extract that.
But you're Ollie from Saw to everyone I know.
Yeah, but like that's a decent.
I guess they know you.
That's a portion of our deal flow, but it's like there's other areas. But I get what you mean. Like in terms of like month to month cash flow, year to year cash flow.
But I guess it's called affluent. It's not called Jordan Platten.
Yeah, but every video that you watch is me. I think that, and it's so dependent on my 99% of our traffic comes from my personal brand on YouTube. Like 90%.
Organic.
97% we're organic. We spend like not even 10k a month on ads.
Really? Fucking
we spend
hell.
It's like
not
it's
pumping
like
YouTube ads.
No, we don't need to. It's organic. We do run YouTube ads as like retargeting. When we do cold, like it just obliterates profit margins. And then I'm competing with everybody else doing that. That's my unfair advantage in that niche. It's like it's just.
How many views are you pumping per month then organically?
I don't know. We've got like well over 20 million views. I don't know how many we're getting. I don't know. Millions. Yeah.
It's high quality traffic.
It's a lot.
And naughty CPMs on those ads.
It's a lot. Yeah, the CPMs are great. YouTube, it's a nice little bit of pocket money from them as well. Sponsorship side of things is great. We probably do over 500k a year just with sponsorships on YouTube.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah.
How many subs you got?
200k.
Oh shit.
230, 240.
This is Matt doing no research.
I get his ads I get your ads all the time on Instagram.
Yeah, so they're probably retargeting
like you say 20k then.
But it's all organic traffic. Yeah. So to sell that, I would be a slave to that business for long. But that's why in future products we're building it out in a way where we're getting other collaborators, other people that have done successful the programs to do other training videos, so it then doesn't heavily depend on me. So in an ideal world, you subtract more because you don't want to just become a slave to that, which you kind of would in the long run if you were the only person doing it.
But then an agency's not very sellable, so you're doing a decent amount of money anyway.
Yeah, and you just pump that cash into investments, into brands and so on, because obviously there is...
Yeah, I guess you don't need to sell it, you can just print from it.
No, it's a cash flow business to put into other things, yeah.
Same with the agency, you don't want to sell it.
So do you think your personal brand can get as big as someone like Iman then?
I don't think I have the
desire. Because obviously he's blown the fuck up in the past year. But he's gone from about 200k to 2.5 million.
He has, but it's a completely different audience demographic. And YouTube, majority of YouTube is 16 to 19. If you looked at my audience demographic, I have like 2% 16 to 19, and the majority of people are 21 to 35.
He's done the same.
So it's not my market.
He's done the same as he's done like tape, but he's also done. I think if you look at any person who's trying to sell a product,
but ultimately he's a competitor, right?
Not anymore.
No,
it's a completely different audience.
Selling completely.
We very his product is how to start an agency, essentially, right?
Yes, but it's a completely different audience that are buying it. So like the people that are buying my product aren't attracted to his brand, because it's lower ticket. It's I don't know what the product's like now. I know they've got a great team, but it's targeting a completely different audience. And I'm not even sure if that's his North Star anymore. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen him promoted in a long time. He's made an awful lot of money off various other things, so I'm not sure. But we don't. We very, very, very rarely get mentioned on a sales call. His program, we don't get played off each other. We used to a lot, but not anymore.
Interesting.
I'd say he's done like what? Beyond a certain point, you have to generalise your message more and more and more, and take out complexity to get to that sort of size. Like he's fucking massive. Like
he's tapped into like a global fear extremely well. He's got global fear, and then he's got that local fear, and he's tapped into that incredibly well. And I think he's got a spectacular team behind him on that as well. And the content they're putting out is very high quality. So fair play to the guy.
It's better than my little fucking podcast edits. I'll say that.
I just wouldn't want to be that big though. God, that must be.
Would you not?
I have no desire to be that big as a personal brand.
It's so jarring. I think if you ever get, I just would never want to get to the point where you have to have security with you. Like that's for me awful.
I needed security on Friday night, bro. Where's my CPO?
I'd rather be rich and not famous than
I think
rich over famous.
Would you rather be broken anonymous or rich and famous?
Broken anonymous.
Broken anonymous.
Really?
You can change that. You can't change.
No, but if it was that, because obviously broken anonymous is better.
Yeah.
But if the choice was broken anonymous or rich and famous,
fine, broke. I don't know. That's a really philosophical.
All right, normal and anonymous. Like the average bloke.
No, I would rather be rich and famous.
Yeah, of
no,
course
rich
you
and
would.
famous. Yeah. But I put personal brands into two categories. People either follow you like almost purely because of you and your personality, which is someone like Iman, and you have other brands where people follow you for the value that you provide, which is pretty much me. I'm quite content with the fact that the majority of people aren't following me because I kayak at 5 a.m. in the morning, or follow me because I get chicks, or follow me because of like my car or my house. Like I'm very fucking content with that. So that's not the brand I want to build. If I lent into that more, then sure you could hit the 1 million subs plus. But I don't really have the desire to do that. I think I think like life gets a little bit more complicated, your ego gets involved, and I think that it's just not really a route that I necessarily want to go down. I'd rather keep people interested because I'm serving an actual genuine fucking purpose for them, rather than, okay, this guy's quite cool, let me follow him, and I become an idol.
Lower headaches as well.
Yeah.
Lower in some ways.
I could see you being famous, 3 million subscribers.
Really? God.
Oliver Hudson, the world's tallest cocks. Do you know what that means? He steered.
My God.
He steered our rowing boats in a university championship race when he was 6'2".
What a weird decision that was.
Like you're meant to be the average cox, the person that steers
5'3".
a boat is about 5'3", 50 kilograms.
It was the last minute. I got drafted in the last minute.
It's the funniest thing ever. That was his past.
We were discussing on the way here. Obviously, you said you would never go down that route. You've got the education business. You've got the agency. Where do you want to go with those two vehicles longer term? And then is there anything else you wanted to branch off into?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned to you on the way here that we've got another company now as like an investment company. So we've made various investments into school, into Triple Whale, into now internal brands that we're trying to build as well. So and maybe a property portfolio. So that's like the short term kind of like cash build. I think that we want to continue building the agency, absolutely. Would we like to get an exit out of the agency? Yes, absolutely. I definitely would like to get an exit out of the agency.
What's that face for?
It's like to me.
I'm joking. And in the education business, I very much like think, and I'm very much enjoying that business at the moment, and I have done for a very long time, and I can't see myself losing love out of that for a while. So I will continue riding that wave, helping people in the space, in the agency space. Will that migrate into something more? I think that the agency space has got a little bit of a lifespan. I think it's very saturated at the moment and it's overpopularized. But so I want to move more into the B2B space and help people who are existing agency owners rather than necessarily help new people start agencies. Where that takes me, I don't know.
The world does not need another agency.
I actually would like to eventually get into the nootropic psilocybin space. I genuinely think that would be a really awesome space to play ball in.
So don't try and compete with me. Just invest in me. Because otherwise you'll lose. I'm actually that company. You probably are.
Infinity Labs or whatever the fuck it's. No, it's not Infinity Labs. It's a software product.
Yeah. Have you got something cooking?
No, I've got in the back of my mind that I would like to do. But
the most interesting.
Absolutely not competing. My brand idea is not like a competing real brand for. It's much more scientific and nootropic based than Space Goods, which by the way is a fucking awesome brand. I actually used Space Goods for its true purpose in November last year. I've microdosed twice on psilocybin.
I microdose every day
with Space Goods.
Got some in the cupboard.
By twice, I mean over a month period.
Yeah.
You're constant on a constant microdose.
Not every day,
Fine.
but yeah, I blend it with Rainbow Dust.
I did like a really good bulletproof coffee with Space Goods and psilocybin. Awesome product.
Whack.
Yeah, it's good shit. I think Rainbow Dust is a fucking perennial.
Yeah.
I think it's, in my humble opinion, the greatest new supplement product I've ever seen.
I do like
So
it.
I just think it ticks a lot of boxes.
I just drink less caffeine at the moment though. I'm on matcha like a softie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm addicted to my own product, to be fair, but yeah, D2C is hard.
It is, yeah.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
I think it's the hardest business model in the world.
I do like the idea of like
even even brands that you look up to, like, I know for a fact they're struggling. A lot of them. It's crazy. It's a fucking rough market.
I think from my perspective in the industry, which I have a pretty decent perspective.
Basically, anyone other than Conor Martin is having a hard time
right now, especially. I think someone was asking me about, like, I got on a call with a guy who actually works for one of our agencies. He was like running this brand that he was looking to buy past me, and it was like how would you make a decision here? And there's a lot of things that people need to add: gross margins, AOV, LTV, like so many different things you need to take into account when investing in a D2C brand. Like a prime example is Allbirds, that were floated for 3 billion and now worth 400 million and
now
sued.
they get sued because they're
incorrect. Like
that's
false,
like
false
fucking
IPO.
fraud claims and shit.
Yeah, like it's a very I think it is a really hard industry. I think it's a victim of its own success for a couple of years, where it blew up and then it's kind of returned to its normal trend line and it's become a lot harder. Plus,
I think people who have come from that agency foundation are very well equipped to start a D2C brand.
definitely.
Because I think an agency is a very difficult business. It's a very gritty business, and I think that paves the foundation to be a good D2C owner. A lot of people that jump into D2C, I can't say this a lot of people, but I know personally a few people that just aren't fundamentally good business people that have still built relatively successful brands, and then that builds an arrogance to believe that you actually are, and then you stumble over those very basic foundational blocks like tax and accounts and team and hiring.
Who are you alluding to?
I know a lot of people. I know some people. There's a big subset of D2C founders who got either not lucky, they built good brands, but they hit D2C in 2019, 2020. And if they started a brand now, or even some of the brands that they're running now, are nowhere near, or they haven't been able to sustain momentum that they.
Well, I'm a prime example. Like, I mean, yeah, it's way harder. I launched this brand a year ago in 2022 with money and experience, so it's still fucking hard. It's definitely harder than it was. I think if I'd launched it in 2019, we'd be at 2 million a month right now.
Probably, yeah. Because it's like you think, oh, we just got to acquire some customers through Facebook ads, but then you got to keep them.
And then you spend more and your CAC triples. Welcome to D2C.
You've got to find enough angles to acquire enough people. It's complex. But then there are still businesses that absolutely pop off, like Hexclad and things like that. They popped off in the last 12 months.
What's that?
Hexclad, Gordon Ramsay pan brand.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I keep getting their ads.
300 million.
I nearly copped. I'm not even a cook.
They're expensive.
That ad was so good.
They're sick brands.
Is it his brand?
No, I don't actually know the setup with him, but he'll definitely be a shareholder in it. But it's a guy
300
called.
mil.
I think they're targeting 300 mil this year. But there's also.
Is it a brand new brand?
No, been going for 5, 6, 7 years. People also underestimate how long it takes to get really big in D2C. Like Athletic Screens was around for like 5 years before you heard of them.
No, way more. 15
longer.
years. They've been going like 20 years.
I do think it's a complex industry. I think it's definitely. I think if you put up a good D2C marketer against any marketer from any other industry, period, like SaaS, anything, they'd be better. A good one, they'd be better than they'd be the best in. Well, one of the best in that industry is by miles. Even though the skill sets are quite different, you have to know so much.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
But I do think you're right. Like, agency owners are well equipped to start them, depending on the agency they run.
Yeah, a successful agency owner at least.
But we were discussing, like, I would never advise someone to start a D2C agency right now. You'd find it really hard to do that.
Yeah, I'd never advise someone to start an e-commerce, a D2C or just e-com agency, just period.
What agency do you advise them to start?
Local lead generation. You earn in then being local. Lead generation is just so much easier. It's copy and paste with strategies. Really, once you get something good, you can build very good offers around it as well and do appointment setting on the back end, so it's a pretty flawless service. But obviously, just like D2C brand owners just don't want to work with new agency owners. The market is saturated on.
I reckon I literally get 10 cold emails a day.
Yeah,
and I report them all as spam. So stop doing it, because your deliverability is going through the floor.
It works though.
It must work.
Cold email still works.
It does work. It's like the difference between being a good D2C agency and a great D2C agency is like nuanced, but takes a lot of time.
It's experience, isn't it? It's what it comes down to ultimately.
Yeah.
It's like with literally everything.
Yeah, and being close to more businesses and learning more.
It's getting increasingly more just about relationships, really.
Yeah.
There's like the subsection of the top like 1 to 3% of D2C agencies just have hold over the majority of relationships with good brands. And that's something that new start agency owners really can't compete with. And so they will then sign up startup D2C brands, which can be the worst clients to work with, and they're just the worst clients in the entire world.
That's a nightmare, yeah.
Who's your best client?
What define best?
Who do you enjoy working with the most? How many clients you got?
60 for Saw, about
60?
60-ish, and then about like 23 for 4U, something like that. Who's my favourite client? I don't know. Like,
It's me, innit?
Yeah, you're the. I don't work closely to that many clients. I work closely with any client that I like, or fairly close to the clients I bring into the business for a period of time until I'm like 100% certain that they're flying. Because it's just a bit awkward, isn't it? If you bring someone you know in, and then you're just like, "Oh, see you later," and like you don't speak to them, and like you want to make sure. Like I don't need to be involved. I trust my team past like, but still want to make sure that they have a good experience. I don't really have well, obviously I work closely with your team. I don't work closely with you anyway, you never show up to the bloody calls. It's your team. Yeah, we work with some good businesses.
Who's biggest?
I can't can't probably.
Can't confirm, I don't know.
Probably. Who's your favourite student? I said me.
You were Lucas.
Oh, is Lucas also a student?
Yeah, Lucas started from zero with us as well.
Quite a few people from DC Twitter or Money Twitter broadly from.
Are you on Twitter? What do you think of the whole Money Twitter thing? Because I think it's become literally like Lord Cappington of the caps. It's just all bollocks.
I actually
almost everyone on there is lying.
I just
you don't really.
Yeah,
you're not on there, are you?
I'm not. It's just another thing to add on to everything. But it's interesting to see the space. But like, you just never know who's actually legitimate and who's not.
I just think there's this like shockingly large epidemic of actual just straight lying on the internet now, particularly on Money Twitter. It's like, do people not realise if someone goes around talking about how much money they have, they literally don't have any? It's a basic law of humanity.
I also find it funny how easy people float around like, oh, I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z, then we're on the path to 9 figures. I'm like, do you understand how hard it is to get
tweeted that today, and you probably saw it. I'm not going to say who they are.
Liquid cash.
People will not have made 6 figures and they'll tweet about becoming a billionaire next year. Right. It's like, bruv, you literally, you left your mum's house 6 months ago with a TikTok dropshipping store. Shut up.
It's so hard to get that amount of money. Even to get like, I even think $1 million cash is a hard exercise. Like liquid capital, and you probably don't want that, but like, it's not that easy. It's just full of shit. I also think Twitter's like a complete. You do a lot of video, which is tailored to different platforms. I feel like it's not very tailored to Twitter. Like if they brought out a video feed, maybe there.
No, I mean for me to actually have the time to do Twitter, I'm gonna get a ghostwriter, and it just isn't me anyway. Actually, most people ghost written.
You've got a ghostwriter on LinkedIn, haven't you?
LinkedIn, yeah.
Tweeting platitudes all day.
LinkedIn's great. You should rip LinkedIn.
Yeah, I used to use LinkedIn an awful lot.
You should rip it for. I think it would do well for the info products.
It wouldn't B2B for sure.
Yeah,
I should probably rip it more.
So it's like
I should put the pod
reach on there. For if you put out
the
good
reach
content,
is crazy.
Yeah,
it's really really good. It's like what Twitter was 12 to 18. Like I got onto Twitter like probably started doing those resource giveaways and they just blew up for like 12 months, but now it's mad saturated. But LinkedIn's really really good.
Yeah, I know Joe got a lot of lead flow for us on Twitter.
He was doing the same.
It was great. But then it just slowed up very, very quickly. And then we tried DM outreach on Twitter.
Yeah, that's meant to be decent. I'm not
it was, and then now it's just
This is the
so
thing
saturated.
with agencies. Like you have to, you always have to hack your way to like new leads.
Yeah.
But then building brand around an agency is like the best way.
I saw an ad with Joe in your Leeds office the other day, like doing that Lucas style. I was like, wait.
Yeah. Lucas is fucking great at ads.
Yeah,
Lucas was really good.
Lucas is sick at creative in general. Like, he's just a creative bloke. He's naturally creative. We're running a bit of podcast clip as an ad at the moment, where you talked about what we'd done for Space Goods. So I was like, that can be an ad. Let's clip that off.
I'll take 20% of all new leads. I reckon I've sent this cunt half his fucking agency from this podcast.
He was saying, actually.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, still waiting for my fucking rose gold Patek for Christmas.
What was I going to say? Well, you said you're launching brands. Are you launching them through the agency internally, or are you launching?
That's
through
the plan.
We're
going to do internal brands for the agency initially, and then we will do it for a separate vehicle. But initially, we're going to see how it goes by creating like a share pool for
like
the agency team as well. Yeah, exactly. So we can incentivize the team to actually to work on it as well and create a bit of like a launch pad for some brands. So we're going to try that out and see how that goes. We've got a couple of brands in mind, and one's near to being launched. But I think it'd just be a fun project, if nothing else.
We've toyed with that idea. We toyed with it really heavily last year, but we've got into like growth phase again. So we've been
It's been quite nice to get the team, like we have like a weekly call with the whole team and the whole agency team on there. It's just nice to get their like creative juices flowing on it all as well, and they're just thinking outside of the box in ways that they
it's really good. It's also practice what you preach, which is massive.
Yeah, like as an agency, if you can, that was the initial motivator, is if we have a really successful D2C brand.
Yeah.
On sales calls, that's just a no-brainer for clients.
Common Thread do that really well. Bamboo Earth in America, they do that. They've got like 2 internal brands that are big. I think pretty big.
All American brands are big, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you could like put shit in a box and it'll be 100 mil rev. Like, it's just the market's mad.
Yeah, not that easy though. It's a great idea. I think it just takes time. We just didn't do it because of focus and just getting into a different phase of growth. It's just, even agencies don't become that profitable beyond a certain point. Well, you go through massive peaks and troughs.
Yeah, we went for a very long period. We went for a period of time like, let's get an agency to $1 million a month. And then you work out the logistics of that. And then you start doing it and you're like, this is just ridiculous. This is not a pleasurable business at all to be doing.
Yeah.
So we in fairness, we just maintain the agency in a very comfortable position and then the vehicle for motivation for the entire team is then the brand as a North Star or something else. But an agency beyond a certain point is not it's not a fun business to be.
How big do you think you want to take the agency? Do you think you'll be doing it in 5 years' time?
Time frame, don't know. I'd want to do it until it got boring, I think. Which I don't think it'll get boring, because I like the industry that we're in right now, and the industry's also still maturing. Like, it's not like
you look like you were born to run agencies. He's got an agency face.
I want to run it for a fair while longer. I don't want to get it to like 100 people though. We want to do another phase of like consolidation, increase client size over time in terms of ticket size, revenue. It's hard to do that until you have the brand to command that position in the market though. So it's a bit like, when do you do that? I don't think we could get above 50 people. We're at 40ish now. Like, beyond that, it's just like you're gonna get more and more non-revenue generating staff members. That harms your profit margins. You get more HR. Like, a lot of these things that you don't think about when you actually you've got 50 people's families who depend on your.
Oh, just on that note, some girl we interviewed last week, her boyfriend works for you, but she wouldn't say who. I should probably not put that on camera, but
what was she
afterwards,
called?
Nicola.
Oh, I do know who she is. Yeah,
I've got another interview with her next week.
Her boyfriend's really good at his job.
She didn't say who he was.
I think I know. Well, he's really sick actually. So yeah,
I
know who.
Small world.
Yeah, she's nice actually. I've met her. I think. Hire her. What are you interviewing for?
Community exec.
I can see her being good at that. Yeah, she's into D2C. She knows it. So I don't know. Maybe this isn't a conversation on the podcast. How many people you got? You just had your first team, but not to detract too much away from the guest.
Don't know. Maybe we've got 7 full-time, a few agencies.
Nice.
Lean and mean.
How far away from launching those do you reckon you are? Do you know?
Launching what? The brand?
Brand, yeah.
One of them,
Joe showed me actually.
yeah, one of them was relatively seasonal.
Wait, is this the psilocybin Rip brand?
No,
No, that's not that one.
So
that's the passion project.
That's
That's
not
when
that
he's,
one. I was waiting to extract as much as I could
Yeah.
intel from
yeah, give me your tactics
First.
and then
Yeah.
take some IP, and then I was
Yeah, yeah.
waiting to launch that. No, one of them is relatively seasonal, but we're kind of just, it's at this point we're just going to have to send it. So, yeah,
I've seen
Weeks.
that one. I think
yeah,
it's good. It's a good product. Good idea. And the way Joe explained the idea was good. I'm not going to say what it is because some guy
Yeah, someone.
just rip it in 2
Someone.
days and you'd be gone.
yeah.
Ideas are worthless.
They are.
Just
they are.
fucking
It's all about the
execute. It's
execution.
really hard.
Mm.
That's again back to why doing B2C education products is hard because you can give everyone ideas, but actually doing
Yeah.
the execution's hard. But
Yeah.
Come back to philosophy then. You're very happy living in a little village.
this sounds so bad.
Are you motivated by money or not?
Yeah, I'm motivated by money, but so mid-20s, incredibly materialistic. Spent a lot of money on cars,
I did the exact same thing.
watches, house, all of that. And kind of depleted that battery somewhat. I've got everything I've ever really wanted, and I don't really need it for a lot more. So it's really just that strive to be better and do better and achieve more and have bigger impact on. I really love the impact that we have on the team and seeing them grow and nurture them as well.
Yeah.
And I would also, at long term, I would like to get into some kind of philanthropy, and I think that motivates me quite a lot too. In later life, but for now, I just want to stack some investments. Yeah, village life is nice. I actually think that there is merit in being a shark in a fish tank. I think that life is much happier being a shark in a fish tank. I have no desire to hang out with a bunch of fucking crypto bros in Dubai.
Oh, neither do I think.
Neither do I.
Not crypto bros.
Well, yeah. I
Depends.
mean, I'm sure there's a subsection of the D2C community that would fall into that.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy spending company with people that are only motivated by money, because I find it quite meaningless. And I also I've got a lot of very successful business friends, but my closest friendship group are the friends I had in school who don't give a fuck about my business. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how many millions made this year, Jordan? Like, they don't give a fuck. We just go out and we go to raves and we hang out and we do normal people shit. And I think there's some beauty in that in life.
Definitely.
Not having that security, having like a solid foundation, being successful, being proud of yourself, and not being a slave to the money, which I think so many people fall into this. Met so many young, successful people that fall into this trap of like no purpose whatsoever, because nothing exists outside of money to them.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I quite like the ecosystem I live in.
I'm similar in some ways. Obviously, I live in London. I find a lot of people. I think I see like those people on Money Twitter.
Well,
I'm
a
not-
spiritual awakening and moved to the fucking Cotswolds after.
I'm not going to name names, but it's like there's people on Twitter who push a narrative, and then it's like, then when they get to like 35 and they get married and they turn around, there's about 4 people at the wedding because no one fucking likes them because they're actually fundamentally a bit of a cunt. It's like
There's a lot of those people.
there's a lot of those people, and there's a lot of people who think that that's not going to happen. But there's a lot of people that you'll get through your 20s and then everybody will disappear because they realise that a lot of the things you really care about actually don't matter. And like there has to be some other like self-worth, or like
I think
other thing that you have, or like some foundation of like
I think it's like all of that. Like if you can find pleasure, like if you only find pleasure in the business and you only find pleasure in material, which I think that a lot of people do because they're just blindly. Because I think like with many of us own businesses, that is a bit of a crux that kind of it's one of those things that we just put all of our time into, because like what else are we going to do, you know? Like, but then so much so with some people that it's their entire existence. But I think that. I mean, I spend a lot of time away from the business. I spend a lot of time like going out and traveling and spending time with my girlfriend and my family and my friends and just doing normal people shit.
How long you been with your girlfriend?
2 years. So we got together when I was in the business. 3 years, actually. 3 years. And she lives
You're
with
back with your ex, aren't you?
no, I'm not.
Who are you in? fucking
Someone
Portugal
else.
with?
I was in Portugal.
Lisbon.
Oh, someone else.
Sorry. It's like a conspiracy I've heard.
Someone else.
A new girlfriend?
Yeah.
A new one?
Yeah.
Like a new one that I haven't heard about before?
Yeah. I'm not.
Because I don't fucking understand. How do people do it?
I
fall in love once a year, and then I go on a bunch of dates that are a fucking waste of time, and I'd rather literally like stare at a computer screen than speak to them.
It's difficult. Relationships and business are really difficult.
Depends.
I find it impossible because I find it a full-time job when you start to fucking fancy someone.
It does. So it becomes. I had like
I
a whole year.
I find it all consuming. I'm almost scared to like someone ever again.
So I did that. I basically retired for like a whole year when I met Bex, my partner. Like I took like pretty much a whole year off.
You know they're getting serious when you refer to them as partner instead of girlfriend.
What else do you say?
She's
Girlfriend.
2 weeks out from proposal.
Girlfriend sounds like that sounds like I'm like 18 or something. My girlfriend. No, actually no girlfriend.
Just need a bit of self.
It's been a long day.
If you said partner before I'd heard girlfriend, I would think you were gay.
Partner.
I'd be like, well, he's not saying boyfriend, but he's not said girlfriend.
Girlfriend sounds like. Do people say girlfriend?
All right.
My girlfriend.
Yeah. But
My girlfriend.
it's like
Technicality anyway.
the mature semi.
So yeah, but then I just like, and then I fucked up hard because then like all my competitors were like still grafting in that year, and I looked back and I was like,
But why did you stop grafting? Because you were just settled,
like,
just comfy.
You've got cash in the bank, you live in a sick house, you drive a supercar. What the fuck more do you want? You got a fit girlfriend, partner, girlfriend. And you were like, what the fuck else do you want to do? Like, you kind of, because when you're single, you're just like smashing business, and then all of a sudden this girl comes in, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then you've got the money, you got everything, you feel satisfied, you're proud of yourself, you look good, you feel good, and you're just like, let me just enjoy this. And then you deplete that battery because you kind of come out of honeymoon and you're like, oh, now I kind of need a purpose again. And then you fall back into business, but then realise in hindsight that you've just neglected it for a long time. I've seen a lot of people do that. Very fortunately for me, the business was still doing well, and I had a lot of capital, and I had the graft to then just basically hibernate for another 6 months to smash it out. But not many people recover from that position.
You don't do things by halves, Chief. That's why. You're just full whack.
I'm the most obsessive, completely fucking lunatic person in the world.
Self-regulation, very well. But for better or worse, that's not negative in any way. It's just.
That's the only time I ever envy single men, is when I think about how much more time and resources you would be able to invest. I said this to you.
But then that's also not true, because I get distracted by the fact I'm single. And the fact that I have a biological desire to fucking be with a beautiful woman.
I'd love to see, like, for people, like, I agree with that narrative to a point, but I also think, like, you can do enough in under 9 to 5 time frame, not saying 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, no,
I also think if you split test, spending 6 hours versus 12 hours, doing work, your output time.
Do you know what's really funny? I don't know if this has hit you as you've matured, but I feel like in the past year, I don't know if it's my cerebral cortex fully forming, which apparently happens when you're 25 and 27 now, so the past 2 years, but the past year particularly, I've realised that I used to think that, I think everyone does, but I used to think that you have to stare at a screen all day, otherwise I was a loser. And then I realised that the billionaires don't do that. So, well, that's an extreme example, but the successful people I look up to have way more balance than I've ever had, but they're just doing smarter things.
But don't you think that is something that comes as like a privilege of once you're actually done well? Because like,
it's anxiety.
I grafted 12-hour days until I was successful, and then I have the privilege to actually be able to take my foot off the gas.
But it's also that, but you're just more experience and more leverage as you get older, because more capital leverage, more human leverage, because you have a better team, which you've earned.
Yes.
I was saying this when I'm having food.
So it's basically just you have more leverage because you put yourself in a position to have more leverage through knowledge, experience, and people.
You're making fewer decisions that have higher impacts.
Yeah.
But I also think that, again, if you actually rewound those 12-hour days, I reckon you would have got more done if you'd done 8 and spent the other 4 hours outside.
That is probably true. There's also that.
It's just your anxiety. You're in like an anxiety mindset of, I need to be in front of my computer for 12 hours. It's an impossible study.
I'm trying to move away from that, because I still even get that bit now.
I never have creative ideas.
I feel guilty. I almost feel guilty for enjoying myself.
Almost
ever.
Yeah. It's like almost.
It's like, fuck.
I almost never. I also feel this like burnout is definitely a thing from sitting in front of the computer for too long. Like, you just can't think productively about a problem. Then you step away for a few days. You come back and you're like, I've got like 15
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, you go on a holiday and every problem that you've had, you have a solution for.
Yeah, it's just like it's like an alter. I think like it's something like cognitive experience. I don't know, like more you're doing different shit, whereas you're just not just. I'm just thinking about this one thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like maybe I think that's definitely true. You see Zuckerberg learning BJJ, fucking on his wakeboard with his American flag.
The chief lizards have told the other lizards to blend in a bit more.
Yeah.
They've programmed him to do that.
Yeah.
Better not say that, man. I can't get disabled.
You're gone. So you stayed in. Obviously, we talked about brands. But your plans to kind of stay where you are for the next few years, in terms of location. Back to the start of the podcast conversation. But
Yeah, full circle.
I want to. I was toying with the whole. Like I've had it on like the tip, like, off like my brain for the tip of my brain. What the fuck does it? I've had it like in the back of my mind for a long time about like taxation and the whole Dubai situation and I'm not a huge lover of Dubai, to be honest. I like it for a holiday, but I can't really see myself living there too much. But if I had to do it for 90 days to reform the company, then I would be intrigued to do that. So I'm thinking of doing that and doing like the 3 months and setting up. But also on the same light, I spent 3 months in Cape Town last year absolutely loved it, January through to March. I'm going to do that again January through to March next year, and then I'm thinking Madeira and Portugal. So I want to actually, whilst I live in the village, I spend a lot of time away. Like I went on like 13, 14 holidays last year.
Can afford to do that when you're paying 19 grand for a flat in central London. Yeah, it's a good Portugal's sick, to be fair.
Yeah.
19 grand, what do you mean?
I'm joking, like satirical.
Oh, a month,
like,
yeah.
Compared to Portugal's a sick place.
Yeah.
I really want to do South Africa as well.
I like the idea of just
things.
starting 3 months and 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, like 3 months in the UK.
Quarters.
Yeah, quarters. It's nice. I always had the fear that I wouldn't be able to be as efficient being away, but I was a lot more efficient in Cape Town than I am in the UK.
You definitely can be if you have the setup and you have the routine.
I think if you get you need
3
to be there
months
long
for that.
enough to get into a routine, get into a lifestyle, actually live there, not just be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do Cape Town. I want to do, my ideal setup will be southern hemisphere 6 month rotation, I think.
What's always in the summer?
Summer here, and then summer in somewhere else, and just do that.
Agreed.
Just run that for 6 months.
I'm not doing it at a London winter again. I'm sorry. I've been saying this for fucking 5 years, and last year was just the final nail in the coffin. I was like, why the fuck am I here? Can be anywhere.
I've only been here for like 5
miserable.
months, but it's a vehicle for me. Like it's good for network, good for business, short term. But like,
I'm glad someone said something against the Dubai narrative, which every fucking larper on Money Twitter disagrees with, because they consume everything that certain YouTubers say as if it's the fucking biblical gospel itself.
I can see the
Nice to hear an opinion that doesn't just nod and smile to what everyone else is doing.
I've seen a lot of people pushing Saudi Arabia as the next version of that as well. I don't know, like not now. I think Dubai makes sense for tax. Like I can see why you'd go for 3 months a year. 3 months.
3 months of the year.
Pretty sure it's 183 days, isn't it? 6 months.
I think
to be completely legitimate.
I think it's maybe you have to do. I don't know. I've never.
I'm just into it. Quoting what people who moved there have said. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
We'll all be there riding camels at some point, won't we?
Hiring Lambos.
Clip this in a year's time. That was me a month ago.
How many of the original group that you moved to London are still here? Not many, surely. Most have gone, haven't they?
Only Fred's gone to Dubai.
I thought there was others that had moved.
Goose, I don't know where he is. He's probably on like Mars or something.
Fuck's Goose.
Connor Caroon. He's the OG flatmate, and Seb, the other guy, lives in LA. So.
Oh, right. I thought there was someone else. I thought there was 4 more of them gone. Never mind.
Final question. If you could give 3 bits of advice to your 18-year-old self in hindsight, what would they be? You've got a nice 10 years to learn.
Number 1, stop thinking you have to invent the next big thing. I think starting an agency opened my eyes up to the fact that I don't even know why I didn't recognise that there's restaurants opened up on your street every single week or every single month. You don't have to create the next big idea, and so I was always waiting for that, and I didn't need to. Number 2, resilience is the single most important trait of any entrepreneur, in my opinion. I think if you're not resilient, then you just will not stand the test of time. You won't. The first failure that you have, you give up. And third to that, get into sales earlier. I think sales is one of the best, if not the best skill, that foundational skills that any entrepreneur can learn. And especially actually something as severe as cold calling or face-to-face severe.
Confidence in it.
Yeah. Cold calling is just, it's gritty and it's fucking difficult.
Yeah, it's
extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And you get no after no after no after no after no, and you're backed in the corner and you have to just stick and persevere through it. And I think that in a way resembles and symbolises business in so many senses. We just kind of have failure after failure, or we have day after day after day after day, we feel like we're not moving until one day it actually fucking clicks and something works. And I think that that's a very foundational skill that I would have given myself a lot earlier.
I think those are really good ones. I think the reinvent the wheel one was really good. I think a lot of people think they need to find the next Uber to make, especially when you're young.
We can't all create rainbow dust from scratch. Some of us just got to settle with an agency.
I'm working on it, mate. I'm working.
I've only asked this question once, and what, because I always forget to.
You're writing another final question.
I'm writing my final question. Yeah. If you had to meet one person,
we're not stereotypical here.
And you had to ask them one question, who do you meet and what do you ask him?
I'll meet Gordon Ramsay, and I'd say, "What you're making for dinner, mate?" True answer.
There we go.
I wouldn't mind cooking my steak in one of his fucking hex-clad flat pans.
I wouldn't mind owning that business.
On that bombshell, it's been a pleasure. Is this like the 5th episode you've actually shown up to?
You just keep jetting off. What are we going to do? It's going to be Zoom calls when you're off. And
might have to. Yeah.
Or you can just Photoshop me in and just in the corner. But yeah.
As always, subscribe to the pod. It's been Jordan Platten. We'll put his links down below. You can all go start a fucking agency because that's the best place to do it, evidently. Yeah. And cheers for watching. See you in the next one.
Cheers.
Peace.
Goodbye.